Now, what my dear friend Scott and others will talk about, and quite frankly, I'm going to say this, on it, rightfully so, it was very disturbing to learn late in the year about just how how poor his health has become. And I, like many, I did not realize that it had gotten to that point. That being said, I think he's still, look, he showed up for the job. He got the work done. I think some of the accomplishments also in the Middle East and foreign policy will also stand the test of time.
You think the Middle East is in better shape today than when he took office?
Well, I think he got our hostages home. I think that's a big deal. I think it's important.
I'm sorry, which hostages?
He's gotten a number of people home. He was able.
There's still 100 people over there.
Well, there were more than that.
Including some Americans. Look, I think he's gonna leave office in disgrace.
All right, guys. So today I want everyone to get out their conservatives were right bingo card and check off yet another box, because finally, as we wrap up 2024, as we wrap up the Biden presidency, facets of the liberal media are finally admitting not just that we were right the whole time about Biden's cognitive decline, but also hinting at the fact that, yes, the media did indeed kind of know, and they 100% covered it up. So with that said, guys, do us a big favor. Make sure you hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you are new. Why should you subscribe? Because it ensures we can keep bringing you these videos. And with that said, all right, end of year, here is a recent CBS News journalist roundtable where finally one person on the panel says, yeah, I don't know, we should have actually told the American people the obvious fact that Joe Biden was cognitively declining, albeit they could probably see and tell anyway. But yeah, like a blatant instance of the media just being completely biased and out of touch. Here you go.
One of the things we also do in the year-end correspondence roundtable is dig into what was undercovered or underreported. Jan?
Undercovered, underreported. That would be, to me, Joe Biden's obvious cognitive decline that became undeniable in the televised debate.
At the presidential debate with Donald Trump.
Unquestioned. And, it's starting to emerge now that his advisors kind of managed his limitations. It's been reported in the Wall Street Journal for 4 years. And yet he insisted that he could still run for president. We should have much more forcefully questioned whether he was fit for office for another 4 years, which could have led to a primary for the Democrats. It could have changed the scope of the entire election. Yeah. Yet still, incredibly, we read in the Washington Post that his advisors are saying that he regrets that he dropped out of the race. That he thinks he could have beaten Trump. And I think that is either delusional or they're gaslighting.
President Biden has said repeatedly he was sick during the debate June 27th in Atlanta, and he's always been fine, and he leaves fine. That is his position, the position of many of his top aides as well, even though there is that reporting.
Robert Costa.
Journal interview.
Yeah. So, on one hand, glad that at least one journalist is kind of saying, yeah, I mean, the media should have talked about it more. We should correct that mistake. However, I do also want to point out on so many levels, that segment is still so unbelievably pathetic for a number of reasons. Okay. And I think number one, most glaring thing right now in the room is the fact that they're only talking about this. They're only mentioning, yeah, maybe we should have talked about Biden's decline. And she kind of implied it there. It's only because they lost. Okay. Had this whole thing gone fine for them, had June 27th, for instance, not happened, but the other obvious signs of Biden's decline that were happening for years, guys. Okay. It's not exactly like this was some type of secret thing like, oh, Joe Biden secretly has a disease and it was not published and the media was not able to figure it out. No, you could see it obviously, even in the, for years, obviously, but even in the months leading up to the debate. I remember like D-Day. I remember when he walked off and Giorgia Meloni had to like pull him back in. Like this stuff was going on. Remember Juneteenth? Okay, he's standing there like completely zoned out. He looks high. So there were many, many guys examples of this. But again, had it all gone their way, had Joe Biden somehow stayed in the race and beaten Trump in the election somehow, the media would be completely fine. Right? They would just keep going. They keep going the same way. It's, again, only taking accountability because they realize that the blatant lying, the insane gaslighting to the American people did not actually work. Okay. So, she's sitting there and saying that, oh, well, maybe we could have had a primary. It's like, yeah. So the point is, you guys don't really still care about the truth. It's only like, yeah, we should have admitted the obvious and stopped trying to deny it because it didn't help us politically. It didn't help us get into power. You guys are not supposed to be politicians. You guys are supposed to be the news media, but even them are, they're kind of saying, well, the Democrats lost, so we should have admitted it. We should have helped the Democrats. Okay, absolutely ridiculous. Secondly, I also want to point out that they're acting like it was some type of secret story that Biden was cognitively declining. And even the guy at the end says, well, according to White House sources, Joe Biden says he's fine and we shouldn't investigate more than that. It's like, are you freaking kidding me? There could have been so much investigative journalism actually done into this, but the media chose not to, okay? If you peered around, you probably would find a lot of records of people at the White House talking about it, admitting it. But secondly here, even if they don't want to do that, guys, it's not like this cover-up of Biden's decline was some type of secret thing, like he had a secret disease no one knew about. Everyone could see it. It was so obvious, right? Like you didn't need some type of verified secret source in the White House to tell you that Joe Biden is declining. If you just were honest with yourselves and not such ridiculous propagandists, you would have said what everyone saw. Okay, so, I do on one hand want to say like, okay, yeah, like the news media is finally admitting to a mistake, but are they really? Are they really? I have a lot of questions there. And it could also be argued that, CBS is only trying to say this because there's a possibility that Trump will be stripping their public broadcasting license. We've talked about that before, but basically make them pay for the same cable license that everyone else does. Don't let them be in this like special box of networks that gets to use the public airwaves because, yeah, they're not operating within the public interest. They're incredibly and insanely biased, and that's obviously true. But with that said, guys, it seems like not only are people on CBS somewhat sort of admitting that Biden was cognitively declining. Take a listen to this segment from today of Scott Jennings on CNN, where a liberal shockingly admits the same thing. Yeah, we did kind of cover up blatant mental decline from Biden. Check it out.
But Joe Biden's record with regard to the things that he's accomplished, I think will stand the test of time. Now, what my dear friend Scott and others will talk about, and quite frankly, I'm going to say this, rightfully so, it was very disturbing to learn late in the year about just how how poor his health has become. And I did not realize that it had gotten to that point. That being said, I think he showed up for the job. He got the work done. I think some of the accomplishments also in the Middle East and foreign policy will also stand the test of time.
You think the Middle East is in better shape today than when he took office?
Well, I think he got our hostages home. I think that's a big deal. I think it's important.
I'm sorry, which hostages?
He's gotten a number of people home. He was able.
There's still 100 people over there.
Well, there were more than
including some Americans. Look, I think he's gonna leave office in disgrace.
Yeah, again, it's like they're sort of admitting that they were wrong, but they're also not, because I once again want to come to you with this. You needed to hear from some type of trusted, verified source that Joe Biden was declining. You could see it. It was visible. It was audible. We saw the debate. Everyone knows what was happening. Okay. The only point is that, and I think kind of the central premise of the Democrats in 2024, back when the candidate was Biden as well as Kamala Harris, was essentially how hard can we gaslight the American people? How far can we push in trying to convince them of things that are obviously not true, such as Joe Biden is not in cognitive decline. The economy is actually doing really well. Democrats have always cared about immigration and crime, and Kamala Harris is a sensible moderate and she's practical and blah, 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 this and that. And it turns out it didn't work, right? Anyways, I want to close this video with this. Here's a short compilation just to remind you of how bad this actually was in terms of the media claiming that Joe Biden was totally fine when he obviously was not. It's ridiculous. And yeah, they can admit to their faults now, but I don't think it's enough. All right, check it out.
Start your tape right now, because I'm about to tell you the truth. And F you if you can't handle the truth. This version of Biden is the best Biden ever.
She knows so long as she was 9.
In fact, I think he's better than he's ever been.
President Biden has a photographic memory. His understanding and mastery of a complicated geopolitical situation is remarkable.
He is sharp, intensely probing, and detail-oriented and focused.
Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here.
sitting, 2 feet from him across the table, and he was, intense.
Have trouble walking sometimes? Yeah, so did FDR. He wanted GD war.
But he's totally focused. He's very sharp. They say he's sharp in meetings and so on.
Very lucid, very well informed. Biden is stately and he comes with gravitas. There hasn't been, as far as I know, a single claim that Biden made a mistake.
Ageism is an issue. Americans have a rich history of holding people's physical characteristics against them. Okay, you can ask African Americans.
He's older. That doesn't mean that he is unfit, and there's a lot of ageism there.
Now, this age attack.
Yeah, it turns out in retrospect that Joe Scarborough was not telling us the truth. Who could have guessed that, Mr. Listen up, I'm about to tell you the truth. F you to anyone who doesn't believe me. Buddy, okay, we're all smoking cigars tonight on... It's just ridiculous. All right, with that said, guys, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comment section down below. Do you think the liberal media is actually going to make a change and be better going forward because of this? Or is this just a pathetic, groveling, hey, we were wrong, please forgive us, and please try to believe our next lie because we're admitting this one. That means we're objective, right? I really think it's the latter and not the former. But with that said, let me know your thoughts. Be sure to leave a like on this video, guys. Subscribe if you are new. Happy New Year. God bless and peace.